Hi guys, Thogrey here for a new video, and this video will be a guide video for Demonology Warlock and specifically a PvP guide. It has been a while since I've made a Shadowlands video. I've made a lot of guides in the past, but I stopped playing Shadowlands. I prefer Classic, I prefer TPC, preferred even private servers, but for now I am now full-time on Shadowlands since I really like the arena scene at this very moment. Yes, there's a lot of boosters. Yes, the bursty comps are still king. Yes, warriors are obnoxious, but I feel like you can still have fun in Shadowlands. Now we will actually discuss about the Demonology Warlock. So let's reassess the situation. Demonology Warlock is for me now the best PvP spec that you could play in Shadowlands. If you want to play Warlock, I feel like Demonology is the best option you have for 2s and 3s. Affliction, they like the occasional bursty feel that you can have only with Deathbolt, but Deathbolt is super easily countered by a healer that has eyes and actually knows what the setups are needed for. They need PI, they need Soul Rot, they need the legendary from Soul Rot, they need all their dots up, they need the Dark Soul buff. And then they can put a Deathbolt for you for 30k, 40k, 50k even. But if you are dispelling the target, often than not, they don't have any pressure left. And also you can kite it. There is multiple ways to actually fight an Affliction Warlock, and I feel like they are not that good. I will make a tier list soon. But for now, Demonology Warlock is the best option that you can have if you play Warlock. Destruction Warlock, they are really only good with a Frost Mage. If you want to push rating, I feel like 3's comp with a Shaman, Frost Mage, and then a Destruction Warlock is quite nice, even with a Holy Paladin, even with a resto druid. But I feel like you lack a lot of actual self-help. I really miss the Mist of Pandaria Warlock. I know it was more of a self-healing spec, but at least you were self-reliant, and I feel like, yeah, the Chaos Balls meant something. Now Chaos Balls are hitting hard, but even a Frostbolt hits as hard as a Chaos Bolt. So now we discuss about the Demonology Warlock. I'm trying to be as fast as possible, but also as concise as possible. So we are going to talk firstly about talents, then we will go through our gear, what we need to build to make the most damage possible, but also be tanky enough to be actually viable in arenas. We will talk about Covenant, and last and not least, we will talk about comps that you can play in 2s and in 3s to have actual successful games. So let's start with the talents. We are playing the Demon Bolt build, which means that you are going to put out big demon bolts because of your Covenant. We are going Necrolord, and because of Decimating Bolt, you are going to do big demon bolts every 45 seconds. I would say every minute, because you want to align a lot of CDs. You want to align the Call of Dresstalkers. You want to align Power Siphon. But I'm going to discuss about it. So we start with the first row. Assume you know which spell does what. We take Demonic Strength, which empowers your Felguard to do a lot more damage on his Fellstorm, which is super good versus Cloth. If you are playing versus Cloth, I would always play with Demonic Strength. Even with Leather, Hunters and Shamans become like a threshold. But if you're playing versus a plate comp like a Retry Warrior, for example, or Warrior DK even, I would not play Demonic Strength because your damage is not that worth. I prefer to play Dreadlash. It's not that good, but it will give you a little bit more damage sustain wise, versus a Demonic Strength. Every minute will do like little damage to a warrior. So if you are having second thoughts about this row, you can always take Demonic Strength. It's never a bad choice. So but I will actually always change to Dreadlash if I'm playing versus a warrior, because doing 0 damage to a warrior is not pleasant. 25 row, pretty much if you are playing the Demon Bolt, you will not change to from Power Siphon. Power Siphon is your bread and butter buff to Demon Bolt, with your Decimating Bolt, with your Legendary too, which I'm going to discuss after this section. It is very powerful. Like, you will always have 2 wild imps because of your talent, the inner demons. And of course you're going to build a lot of imps with Hand of Gul'dan. You will do a lot of setup to actually do big demon bolts. 30 row, I feel like if you're playing versus warrior, you should never go for Dark Pact, because they can always spec into the Shattering Throw PvP talent, which could pretty much do 30k damage on you, and you don't want that, especially if your shield is super low HP. They could always throw Shattering Throw and then you're pretty much one-shotted. So I will actually never play Dark Pact versus warriors. But in 2s, you can always play Dark Pact versus windwalkers, versus DHs, versus retry paladins, for example, which aligns perfectly with their CDs. But anything else, I would always play Demon Skin, because it's always a sustainable shield that you can always have, build up, and I feel like it heals quite a lot. Like, I feel like shields and healing is quite the same for me. Demon Skin is permanently very good shielding, healing. So the 35 row I will always play from the shadows, because it boosts your Demon Bolt. Demon Bolt does Shadow Flame damage, and this boosts Shadow Flame damage for you. So you know already what I'm going to say for your build up for damage. You will go for first of all, you're going to build some demons, and then you're going to pop your demonic tyrant just for the soul shards. But then you're going to pop Cult Dreadstalkers, and then Power Siphon, Decimating Bolt, and then you are going to shred someone 100%. Especially if you're playing with a priest, they can also buff your damage. Actually, anyone that can buff your damage is quite necessary for the Warlock to be successful in arenas. You can play without a Shaman, you can play without a Priest, but if you're playing with a resto Shaman with the Totem that boosts your damage, it is quite insane how much damage you can put out with Demon Bolts. Mortal Coil, I always play Mortal Coil. Actually, Hall of Terror is also quite nice, but I like the healing that it provides and the incapacitating effect, because I can do Mortal Coil, then I can do Axe Toss, which stuns the target, and then I can fear him, and then I can re-Shadow Fury him, and then re-fear him. So I have a good actual CC chain by myself. And then if you toss a mage with you, if you toss a resto shaman with you, if you toss a priest with you, everything becomes a lot easier to actually kill people with it. So 45 row, I play with inner demons. I saw builds that you could play with soul conduit, but I feel like it's more of a demon build, instead of a demon bolt build. I feel like inner demons will always give you the sustainability to actually put out some power siphon and also some good demon bolts. You always have a demon by your side. You will never have to really cast a lot of Hand of Gul'dan to actually do demon bolts. But yeah, you can also play Grimoire Felguard, but the 2-minute CD, it's quite hard to actually justify the cost of a PvP of a talent row actually. So I've sometimes play it just because the extra stun could be handy actually, but 2-minute CDs is really big, so I don't like this talent. Soul Conduit, I don't really like it either, so I prefer inner demons, but you can play Soul Conduit if you prefer a demon build. So the 50 row, you have like two good choices. So I'm playing a hybrid build, which gives you the possibility to actually do a big demonic tyrant, which do also a lot of damage, but you can also be very strong with your demon bolts. So you have like two triple threat like possibility to actually do damage. If you don't have the demon bolts and the the disseminating bolt ready, you can then do your demonic tyrant, and then you have actually always pressure, and then after the demonic tyrant you have your disseminating bolt again, and then you go pressure him again with demon bolts. You can also go for sacrifice souls, which makes your demon bolt even better, but it is risky because you will need to cast a lot of Hand of Gul'dans, you will need to cast a lot of demons to make it actually worth it, because the demonic consumption gives you a lot of damage for your tyrants, and your tyrant is actually one of your win conditions. If you want to force some CDs, force them to run away, because they will run away from demon. If they don't, they die. So I prefer demonic consumption, but you can go for sacrifice souls. I saw a lot of good builds with it. You can always make it work. Nether portal, 2.5 minute CD is way too big. 2.2 second cast is way too big. 15 seconds for the twisting nether is not enough. So this is my build for the talents. For PvP talents, there are like 2 mandatory talents that you need: Master Summoner and Call Fel Hunter. Call Fel Hunter is only needed, I would say mandatory, if you're playing versus a healer. If you're playing versus Warrior Monk in 2s, you don't need Call Fel Hunter. If you're playing versus any double melee in 2s, you don't need that. In 3s, I feel like Call Fel Hunter is pretty much mandatory. You don't have a choice. Now, the most important fact on the PvP talent: you can always change Fel Obelisk, which is a big CD for your demons. Imagine you have all your demons up, you have the demonic tyrants with you, and you put the Fel Obelisk. You will shred, but for some matchups I will always prefer the Call Fel Lord. For example, a warrior or a paladin, if they are onto you and you are not able to kite them away from you, Call Fel Lord does a lot of damage. First, does a stun, but also is very disruptive and boosts your demonic tyrants. So you have a lot of choices there. If you're playing with a double mage comp in 2s, for example, or a double caster comp, you can always go for Nether Ward, helps you a ton. They will be scared to go for you, and if they are not going for you, it is actually a easier game for you, and you're going to win a lot more games. So Nether Ward is especially a very good pick versus caster comps in 2s, and even in 3s, if there is a caster comp, I would even play Nether Ward there, even though I really like the Fel Obelisk. A lot of people just kite the demonic aspirant anyways at high level. So this is the PvP talent and the talents explained. So now let's talk about the character itself, the gear that you should thrive for, and what you could do to actually be successful. So first of all, let's talk about trinkets. I play with the Shackles of Malediction. The reason is you can shackle the enemy and stun when shackling with your pet, and it doesn't break your shackle. So you can actually chain CC the priest, healer, or whatever, and that guy is going to suffer a lot of damage or even die. 3 demon bolts with the shackles is often a kill if there is no dispel, if there is no trinket, if there is no interrupt on the shackles. Especially if you are playing with a healer that can actually CC or do actual shackle damage or anything when you're shackling. I feel like it is pretty much a mandatory trinket to have. You can also play the unused trinket. It's not bad. I just prefer the Shackles of Maledictions because often than not, when I'm not playing it, I often regret it. So, of course, you play with the unused trinket to remove all movement impaired effects. The legendary now. Let's talk about the legendary. Is Belt of Shards of Annihilation, which gives your disseminating bolts increased critical strike chance by 100%. So you will 100% crit your disseminating bolts, and critical strike damage by 50% for demon bolts. So it is actually insane the amount of damage you can put out with this legendary. I feel like this legendary has always been the legendary for the Warlock, especially since now it's not dispellable. The buff from Decimating Bolt. I feel like now you have really a place in the meta where you could actually one-shot people, or you could actually be a threat to people. Because whenever you saw a Demonology Warlock, you always saw them as a D tier class. Even Warlocks in general, you were never scared, except for when the legendary that could slow targets with corruption. That was the only time where Affliction was actually a little bit scary. But then again, a warrior is a lot more scarier. Monks too, paladins too. In general, melees are king in Shadowlands for now. I think 9.2 will change it and will make classes a lot more like easier to play, but also better for everyone. Anyways, so you go for Belt of Shards of Annihilation, and you will prioritize, or at least try to prioritize, haste, and then mastery, and of course versatility, still bis. So you all go for verse as much as possible, but haste and mastery should be your prio in the gearing system that you have. Of course, enchanted as much as you can, and I feel like this section is also already over. This is actually a fantastic class to play, spec to play. I feel like it has a very well niche to it, but also in 9.2 you will have Belt of Annihilation, but also another legendary that you could play, like for example Relic of Demonic Synergy, which will give you a lot more damage, like 15% extra increased damage on your demon bolts. Is quite insane. You could also play for Grim Inquisitors, Dread Calling as a second legendary, for example, and you can also go for Balespire's Burning Core, and then you're going to wreck people. Like I feel like if you're playing with this plus your legendary, you're going to one-shot people easily. 40k demon balls, easily. So this is the section about the legendary and also the gearing. Let's go for the Covenant passives and actives that you can put and see what you could actually improve on. So I take the Plague Divisor Marileth because I like the ultimate form. Often than not, it saves a lot of things for me. Okay, it's Shadow, so they can kick you, but you can still do Shadow Flame. You can still do the Hand of Gul'dan. This is Shadow Flame. Don't get kicked on Shadow Flame, Hand of Gul'dan, because then you can do nothing. But for now, it is the best that you can take. I play with Tyrant Soul because I like being able to play with demons as well with my demon bolts. I like that system. I also play with Condensed Animal Sphere. Why? Because it's constant healing, but also you have a lot of health as a warlock, so you have a lot of value for it. You can also play with Accrued Vitality, but really I never really drain life anything with my Warlock, at least with my Demonology Warlock. I play with Fell Commando. Why? Because I don't want it to die as fast, because whenever you have no pets you are kind of fucked. But Felguard deals 12% more damage, takes less, like 12 less damage, so quite nice, quite mandatory for me. I feel like if you need to make a choice between those two, you will go for Fell Commando, because you don't want to blow your Fell Domination and then be without a pet. It would be actually terrible. Demonic Momentum is for me super useful, because often or not they go for me, because they know they are going to get actually wrecked if they go on the healer. So I feel like the extra mobility will help me, so I'll go for Demonic Momentum. Ultimate Form, of course. The Fatal Decimation, well, I don't have the Conduit leveled, unfortunately, but whenever you leveled it, I feel like it's a very good Conduit, and I feel like you do a lot of damage with Decimating Bolts, especially if you're using it as a execute or finisher. You do Decimating Bolt, and then you go Power Siphon, and do Demon Bolt, and it's actually finished. That guy is not going to survive. I go for the Endurance route, because I like the Diabolic Bloodstone. The Leech is not that noticeable, but I prefer the slow instead of the absorb so I feel like I need to go for the endurance route, But Kevin's oozling is very nice, very annoying, actually very strong. I feel like it needs to be nerfed, but whatever, they let it go. If you prefer the shield or the absorb, you can go for Shade of Terror, which is always nice for your fear to not break on too much damage. Or go for Fell Celebrity if you feel like you're going to get a rough time with your demons, but I mean, that's personal choice, so it's alright. Let's talk about rotation now, very quickly. So what you want to do, you have 3 sword shards. You want to do Hand of Gul'dan, of course, do a Shadow Bolt, why not? 2 Shadow Bolts, you do your Called Dreadstalkers, then put out your Demonic Tyrant, and then you go for Disseminating Bolt, Power Siphon, and then Demon Bolts. You do quite a lot of damage, you know. 18k, 17k, you still have 1 charge. Of course, you want to build it again. The proc, of course. And now you have a proc, boom, 11k. And that's without the buff from Dreadstalkers, without the buff from Power Siphon. Whenever you have no Power Siphon, whenever you don't have a Disseminating Bolt, you can always play with your demons. So you try to put out your full obelisk. You could do that before the burst anyways. And of course, don't blow up your Power Siphon because you need it. You try to do Shadow Balls, you try to stun him, then Hand of Gul'dan, and then you go for a Fear, for example, or a Shadow Fury, and then you go Fear, and then Disseminating Bolt again, boom, you pop your Power Siphon, and then you have 3 bolts, bam, 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 and generally, you then do for Shackles of Malediction, and they are dead, pretty much. So that's your win condition. You try to win time. You do a Fellstorm, which does a lot of damage on cloth. Remember, if you're playing versus plate, please change your talents. But yeah, outside of those burst CDs, you don't have that much, but that's okay, since you're going to get trained a lot too. You want to play defensive a bit, since a lot of people will just try to blow your CDs, and you don't want to die with all your CDs up, so it's quite annoying. And then you go for Disseminating Bolt again, and then bam, 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 dead. And you actually do a lot of damage. You see, I'm not spamming Demon Bolts, and still it is my best damaging ability. Don't sleep on it. And your Tyrant is also very big. Look at that. He crits for 15k. If they are not running from your Tyrant, you're going to win matchups. So let's talk about, I would say, comps that you could play for your Warlock. So really, what you want to do is actually play in twos with a healer. You cannot play with a DPS. You could, but you will be hampered because of the ability to sustain yourself. It's actually very hard if you're playing versus a druid, or if you're versus a survival hunter, which is super annoying, or you're playing versus a rogue mage. You will need that healer. So I would recommend priest, like holy priest. In my opinion, the best priest that you could play is holy. You could also play resto shaman, which gives you the possibility to hex targets, which is actually very big for your rotations, your CC chains, and whatever. You can also play holy paladin, which gives you a immunity to knockbacks and also interrupts and silences with their aura mastery. They can also give you bop. They can give you a lot of things to help you sustain. Resto druids, very big, very good. I would never play with a mistweaver monk though, because it's not compatible. You really need more help from your healer, because you still are a warlock and they will still go for you and still train you till you die. So I feel like it's better to go with a healer. If you're not going for a healer, then I would recommend frost mages. I would recommend fel druids. I would recommend maybe a rogue for the CC, but then again, if you miss your CC, you're pretty much screwed. So you will need to play with a very good rogue. Never play with a warrior, please. Never play with a monk, because it's not compatible. Monks and warriors need healers, and you are not a healer. they will get drained, they will die, and you will lose CR for nothing. So please play healers, if not frost mages, if not maybe Shadow Priest. Shadow Priest could work, since there are also a pet class now, which is sad. Their legendary does a lot, like too much damage for nothing. It's too free, and they move super fast in comparison with the demonic tyrant that we have. But whatever. In trees, I would recommend play with a frost mage, because it's still one of the better support mages that you could play with. Elemental shaman, balanced druid, healers doesn't really matter. I would say not with mistweaver, because mistweavers are very good with melee and a little bit less with ranged DPS. I would really play with elemental. Elemental is maybe the best shaman spec that you could play with in trees. You could also go for retri paladin, because it helps you a ton if you don't play with a holy paladin. Not a warrior, I feel like it's not compatible. Not with a rogue, because I don't feel it's compatible. I will want a mage instead of you, so I feel like it's not compatible. But the best are frost mage, elemental shaman, balanced druid, maybe. I think convoke is very good, but outside of convoke and outside the big burst cooldowns, you are kind of sitting around and being in bear form, so I feel like it's not the best comp. I think the best comp actually is the elemental shaman, because of lasso, because of other stuff that you could do to help your demonology warlock, and they will get focused, which gives you a lot of time to put out bursts for your team. So thank you for watching the guide. It has been 26 minutes. It's quite sad. I wanted to be a little bit shorter, but I hope I helped you with the warlock demonology spec, and I hope you get a lot of wins in PvP and make the warlock class proud. Warlocks are really, really underplayed, undervalued, and unappreciated, but we are here. We're trying to wait out 9.2, maybe another expansion, to actually shine, and not shine at the wrong, like destruction warlocks in BFA was ridiculous, but we want to have good gameplay, and good gameplay should be the main focus of balancing. If it's fun, I don't mind to be a little bit less viable, but it needs to be fun. And destruction warlock, affliction warlock are not fun. Demonology warlock, we try to make it fun, but without the legendary, it's actually not fun. So yeah, let's hope they change that, and thank you for watching. I hope I helped you in any ways, and like, subscribe, and have a great day. Bye.